Warning: under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purpose such as a criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All people are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. I reserve my First Amendment rights to express myself. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody on this wonderful Sunday morning? It is Sunday. So, good morning. Good morning. Y'all are probably getting, if you are not on your way to church, y'all probably getting ready to go to church. So let's go ahead and get into this. Let's move this a little closer. So, yes, today we are going to be discussing the update of Karmelo Anthony. So, it looks like they are getting ready to charge him as an adult. So, we will go over that and we'll take it from there. But there's a lot of things I do want to go over because there's certain things that I haven't been able to cover throughout this. Um, there is the police report. There are some more things that came out about NGAN. Some more things that came out from FISD and DISD. Rainbow Tasha. Yes, this is the Frisco case. This is the Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf case. So we're going to try to go. I know I've been doing little videos over, so we're just going to kind of review everything. And because they are getting ready to try him as an adult. And good morning to you too. Good morning. Good morning. Um, so I just pretty sure everybody's probably just up either getting ready to go to church or just probably waking up from a very long night. So we're just gonna kind of go over this. Like I said, it's just gonna be review, mostly review. Some of the things I did cover, some of the things I have not covered. Like I don't think I've gone over the actual police report, and I know I haven't. There are some new things about the NGAN about recently within the last week or so. So definitely want to go over that and just kind of want to go over kind of how Jeff Metcalf is doing and just kind of show support to the family. So let's just kind of get into it. Let me see where I want to begin. Okay, let me go ahead and share the screen. Okay, so this is from Capital B. This is by Christina Carrega. This is her article. So this states, track me turns tragic. Texas teen charged as an adult under controversial law. The 17-year-old suspect said he was acting in self defense. If convicted of first degree murder, he could be sentenced to life in prison. So, the father of the Texas high school student athlete stabbed to death by another student is seeking answers from the school district for following his son's accused killer to graduate, for allowing his son's accused killer to graduate. What began as a school night at his school neither 7 years old, it ended in tragedy. The student who was stabbed, identified as Austin Metcalf, died. The other student, Carmelo Anthony, remained at the scene and told investigators with the Frisco Police Department that he acted in self-defense. Multiple news outlets have reported since Anthony posted bail, Metcalf's father, Jeff Metcalf, has been demanding answers from the Frisco Independent School District, questioning how he was allowed to graduate while they were left to bury their son. So yes, we I did do a video where they did overturn his expulsion to where they allowed him to get his diploma. Sorry guys, for some reason the what do you call it? The fire department was here earlier. Give me a second because my baby's going potty. But okay, so the fire department came earlier. I don't know if there was maybe like a water issue, a water leak, or a little fire that they had to put out. I'm not too sure what was going on because this was in front of the complex. But apparently they left and I don't think they turned the water back on. So now we're stuck with no water and my poor baby has to go potty. So it is we struggling right now. Okay, so yeah, it's a struggle right now with no. Yes, it is a tragic story. No, he didn't have any priors per se, legally priors, but he there was he was known to be a little bit of a fighter or a little bit of a not I wouldn't say I guess troublemaker, but I mean I wouldn't necessarily he was making the trouble all the time. I don't know the whole history on all the events. I just know there he does people didn't know him as a fighter. So definitely something so there's somewhat of a history but not much of a history, you know what I mean? So it's not like it's in his record to where they're going to pull it in court and be like, but they are going to show his school records and be like, there has been other situations where he was caught with knives prior at school and or fighting at school and things like that. So now whether he was the aggressor or not, I'm not too sure, but in this case it seemed to be one-sided, but we'll see. And let's just continue to go over this report. Let's see, not report, this news article. The other student, Carmelo Anthony, remained at okay, we already read that. That's right, because they were letting the son graduate. Okay. Anthony reportedly had a 3.7 GPA and earned enough credits to graduate, according to multiple news outlets. Sources told CBS News Texas that his graduation was part of an agreement, something Jeff Metcalf now questions in light of school's own policies. Meanwhile, like what agreement? Like what agreement? Like, I understand yes, your son was a 3.7 GPA. Yes, he did have enough credits, but just like anybody else who like does anything wrong that didn't get to graduate in the past, probably with less minor incidents. Like there's so many reports out there where somebody was just um I forgot if you do like a dance or if you wave hi to your family or if you were to do something you were not supposed to do, you were not going to get your diploma. Um, the school has the ability to make these types of decisions. Um, And now, what agreement did this school district have? The anthem. What I mean, what between who and who? What agreement? Like, really? So, meanwhile, an online petition has collected more than 15,000 signatures calling for Austin Metcalf to be awarded an honorary diploma as he was expected to graduate in 2026. So, yes, I think if anything, Austin Metcalf is more in a position to be awarded a diploma than Carmelo Anthony, honestly. So, the viral attention of the tragedy has sparked confusion, particularly among those familiar with the career of former NBA star Carmelo Anthony, who is not connected to the case. Of course, we all knew Carmelo Anthony was not connected to this case. However, we're going to continue reading. Carmelo Anthony, 17, is facing a first degree murder charge. He's being prosecuted under Texas concurrent jurisdiction laws, often referred to as prosecutor direct file laws. These laws allow prosecutors to charge minors as adults without judicial oversights, a policy that has disproportionately affected Black and brown youth accused of serious crimes like homicide in 12 states and Washington, D.C. As of 2024, there are 56,245 people serving life without parole sentences who were under the age of 25 at the time of their offense, according to the January report from the Sentencing Project. More than half of the reported 25,254 people incarcerated with that sentence from 1995 to 2017 were Black, a separate report from the Sentencing Project revealed. Okay. So she just kind of goes into the statistics of how being charged as a minor can affect, or how many have been charged as an adult who were minors. Texas ranks amongst the states with the highest number of life sentence individuals under 25, with 18,358 people currently serving life terms. Good Lord Jesus, and that's in Texas only. Since 2008, hundreds of efforts have been made across the country to reform direct file laws or introduce second chance legislation. I don't know if I would do it for this case. In Texas, two related bills have been proposed, one in 2011 and another in 2023, according to the National Conference of State Legislators. Okay, of those, only the 2011 bill was enacted, and it focused on sentencing and probation hearings for individuals convicted of certain drug offenses, outlining, okay, that I get, outlining in the conditions of, well, yeah, because they're not going to let convicted murder. I mean, he confessed. I mean, why are we gonna let a confessed murderer and give him a second chance? Okay, so I mean, I get drugs. I mean, now they kill somebody in a drug, you know, I guess what do you call it? Interaction. Then yeah, I mean, for that reason, you should be serving life without parole. Um, at least delayed graduate. Yes, I said that too. Delayed graduation. See, with him, like with anybody else, what were they gonna if they were suspended and they got during that graduation time? All they did was go to summer school, make up the classes that they missed, or make up whatever credits that they had to make up. You graduated over the summer, or whenever you, or if you didn't do it then you came back for the following year. I mean, that was, you know, but or if he was to be found guilty, go to school while you're in prison and get your GED. I mean, you still have, I just don't understand why graduating with the diploma, like, right now was so important while you're facing a life sentence. I mean, you're going to be like 60, 70 years old when you come out. What good is a diploma going to do for you at that time? So, I wouldn't have ruffled if both sides, the school district, the parents, the family, and Carmelo and these activists, I wouldn't have really argued the fact to, like, I think they were testing the waters to see how many people will bend over backwards for this kid or for them, and how many people that they can convince. And I think this is all a mechanism to see who will will follow their lead and who will not. And I'm not buying it. I really think that they should have waited and delayed the graduation. Yes, definitely. If he was innocent, then by all means give him his diploma. It would not have stopped him, because then he would not have a record. He could still get a job, he could still go to colleges, he could still do what he needed to do, and proceed to succeed in life after this whole thing. Now if you're found guilty, which 99.9% you're going to be found guilty, but then the diploma is going to be useless. But oh, really? I'm going to have to look at that. This week has been total chaotic. That's why I kind of been on and off, and um I'm going to have to look that up. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, because I'm sure he heard about it. He's an athlete. Names are pretty much similar. The only thing that's different is the first letter of the name. So, and I'm pretty sure maybe a middle name, but um yeah, it's crazy. Again, I don't even know why they even allow that, or why they would even take the opportunity to even play with the idea of letting him graduate. I don't know when graduation was taking place or it already happened, but I know all this week graduations were taking place. So, and I think some of next week too, if I'm not mistaken. So after the plea, so what we know so far, this is kind of what she breaks it down, you know, not breaks it down, but she kind of sums it up pretty much right here. After a police officer arrived, Anthony allegedly asked if Metcalf was going to be okay. Multiple news outlets reported, but we'll go over the police documents as well. The officer saw blood on Anthony's hands and a knife was recovered from the stands. Investigators spoke to several witnesses, including those who were nearby when Metcalf told Anthony he needed to move. Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, and reached inside and proceeded to tell Metcalf, "Touch me and see what happens," the affidavit read. Metcalf touched Anthony after he warned him not to, and the encounter escalated, according to the affidavit. Anthony then allegedly pulled out a knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest before running away like a coward. Okay, well, no, it doesn't say that in the article. I just added that one in. But anyway, Anthony's bail was initially set at $1 million. But after a bond hearing on Monday, it was reduced to 250. As a condition of his release, he was placed on house arrest, required to wear an ankle monitor, and is prohibited from leaving home without the judge's permission, according to the Dallas Morning News. He was released shortly after posting bond, a decision that sparked backlash and threats against Collin County Judge Angela Tucker, who approved the reduced amount and is also black. So yes, she did get a little heat for that. But ultimately it did need to be reduced. I don't think it needed to be reduced that much, but I think it did needed to be reduced. A million was a little harsh, but 250 I think was a little light as well. I think it should have stayed around the $500,000 mark, since that was what they raised in the little fundraiser that they had. And we'll look at that as well. As a condition of his release, he was placed on house arrest, required to wear. Okay, we read that. As Anthony's case gained national attention, a GoFundMe page not started by his family began circulating. It falsely claimed to raise money for his legal defense, his parents said during a press conference the day after his release. The family said there was okay, but we all know that that GoFundMe turned that down, so it's not the Go Send Me Go or Give Send Go. It's Give Send Go, who took over the fund. The family said they were also receiving threats and there was misinformation about the case. Before the press conference hosted by Next Generation Action Network, so whenever you hear me say NGAN, this is who I'm talking about. Started. Metcalf's father was spotted amongst the crowd. He left after police on the scene spoke to him. And Fox 26 Houston Capture Live. The Collin County District Attorney's Office is prosecuting Anthony's case. A grand jury will review the evidence and decide whether to formally indict him on the first-degree murder charge filed at the time of his arrest, or in a lesser charge such as manslaughter. If indicted and later convicted, Anthony could face a mandatory life sentence, though as a 17-year-old, he would be eligible for parole after 40 years. So Anthony expected back in court once there's a grand jury decision. If the panel decides there's enough evidence to indict him on any charges, a court date will be set. So back to this life sentence. So like saying before, um yes, he is 17. He just currently turned 18 at the end of like in April, sometime in April. So yes, he is. So what they're doing, since he was 17 at the time, he's not, they're going to convict him as an adult, with the exception of now he's going to be able to have parole after 40 years. So if he was 18, if he would have turned 18 before this incident, then he would have definitely been an adult, and he would have been charged with an adult without the possibility of parole. But since he was 17 at the time, um, he is going to be charged as an adult. So he will have life in prison, but with the possibility of parole after 40 years. So he's already 18. He's going to be 58, like I said, pushing 60, basically in his 60s when he's able to get parole. Now, if they don't allow it, or they, that's another story, but he will be. So again, why were they pushing this diploma? I have no clue. So they must think that this case is going to go their way somehow or another. So yeah, I'm not too sure about that. So let me stop sharing that. So again, there is so much. So yes, now he's being charged. So kind of like as an adult. So he may finally get, like I said, like this thing said, everything was going his way. His bond was lowered. Um, he was on house arrest. He got to see his family every day. He got to play video games every day. He got, not including they didn't mention that give send me go money. They used it for secure alleged security in houses and things like that. So we'll get into it again. So let's start off with the police report. Let's go over the police report first. So again, this is Sarah on X. If you go to Sarah Fields, she has a whole bunch, and we're gonna get into a lot more of her deep dive that she's doing with this case. I mean, good for her. She's um good for her. So Carmelo Sincere Anthony, really? Is that his middle name? Sincere? Uh-uh. Okay. So again, he was 17 at the time of April 2nd when he was arrested. So April 2nd was the date of the incidents. Um, he is charged again with first degree murder. Um, it's not up there. Sorry, guys. Okay. I guess that's the biggest it gets. Oh man, did I not open it? Okay, it says initial narrative. We'll just start reading and hopefully I'm able to. Um, again, this is from Sarah Fields. Full arrest report of, okay. So number two, number three. Okay. So we'll just go in order. So on April, so this is the initial narrative. A dumb mail was taken. This was about 1704 in the afternoon. So this was about 5 o'clock when this, I guess when they either wrote it or they were on the scene, I guess. Adult male was taken into custody following a stabbing call on FISD property on 4/2 at 10:01 hours. Um, I state Staley, school resource officer E. Cortez, heard over the radio dispatch call out for a stabbing call at David Quiquendo Stadium, 6927 A Stadium Lane, Frisco. Okay, they just get the address. FPD call notes indicated that an athlete was stabbed. The suspect was reported as being a black male wearing a gray hoodie and blue sweatpants. I immediately left my office and ran across the Staley Middle School parking lot towards a southwest entrance into the stadium. As I entered the stadium, two high school age students informed me that the victim was on the north end of the stadium by the bleachers under a Memorial High School tent. Did not identify these students. I did not. So he didn't identify them at the time. I guess his priority was to get to Austin Metcalf first. Next, I proceeded towards the north end of the stadium, visitor side, on foot. As I got close to the north end, I could see the Memorial High School tent with multiple individuals under the tent. Once I arrived onto the north side bleachers, an adult male who was on the track pointed out the suspect. I was not able to identify the witness. So far there was three witnesses already. Well, I don't know if they were witnesses to the scene or they were just, but they were there assisting the officer apparently how to where and who each person was in this at the scene. The individual that was pointed out to me was a black male wearing a gray hooded sweater and dark colored Nike pants. The suspect at this point was on the, let's go to see if I can go to page 2. Okay. Was on the track on the north end. There was a chain link fence that separated me from the suspect. I gave the suspect instructions to keep his hands up in the air. During this time, the suspect said verbally out loud, I was protecting myself. It should be noted that I had not questioned him about the incident when he made that comment. So he already knew right away he did something that he wasn't supposed to do before. So he pretty much right there showed guilt um, of of the actions that he had that he did that day. Um, I asked him if he had any weapons, and he said no. I patted him down for weapons while we were walking along the fence, and I did not locate any on his person. I instructed the male to continue walking along the fence, which he complied, towards an area where there was an opening in the fence that led off the track. While walking him off the track, the suspect also said he put his hands on me. I then detained the suspect in handcuffs, handcuffed behind his back, and had him sit down on the ground. Officer A. Ritchie had arrived on scene at this time. At that time. I conducted another pat down of his person and then searched his person after he gave me consent. No weapons were located. While the suspect sat on the ground, I advised that I had the alleged suspect. The suspect then responded and says, I'm not alleged, I did it. Wow. So clearly from the horse's mouth, he's clearly stating this is not alleged. I I'm the one that did it. No matter, there's no doubt about that. I was the one that did it. Probably not knowing that. See, I think what see, I think what was going through his mind. I don't think he realized that he had killed Austin Metcalf I don't think he realized that Austin Metcalf was not alive at that time. I think he thought maybe he was still breathing. They were taking him to the emergency room. They were going to be able to save his life. So that's why he's just kind of saying yes. He's kind of just saying yes, kind of basically admitting it, and thinking that this will go lightly and help him in the long run. In fact, that now it's basically not helping him. It's basically showing the truth. So next, Officer Ritchie and I walked the suspect to patrol vehicle number 2412. This is Officer A. Ritchie's patrol vehicle, which was on the northeast gate of Kayukindle Stadium. As we were walking to the squad car, the suspect was emotional and said he put his hands on me. I told him not to. I did not question the suspect about the incident while he was escorted to the patrol vehicle. So the police were really trying to make sure that they made sure everything was legit. There wouldn't be no, you know, um, things in the story or things in the investigation that the defense can poke holes in or that could be used against them. So they want to make sure they were like following the textbook accordingly, so that way, you know, everything is, everybody gets the justice and everything is fair and everything is complete. So while the suspect was in the back seat, I noticed fresh blood on his middle finger. I verbally acknowledged that I saw the blood out loud so that it would be captured on my body worn camera. It should also be noted that the suspect asked me, "Is he going to be okay?" while he was in the back seat. See, this is where I was saying he didn't know. He didn't know that Austin wasn't okay yet. He didn't know what, like, the total damage that he had done. He thought it was just, see, this is why and then you run away like a coward. But see, this is what I'm saying. I think he does these actions just try to be cool and whatever. I'm an athlete. I could get away with things. I'm all this. Like, look what happened to Stefan Diggs. This is what happens when you try to be the big superstar in Frisco. I FISD allows you to continue to graduate. But anyway, so you have this kid that obviously did it. He didn't say, see, he's not at this point when he's talking. I mean, if I'm sure the cop said there's already going to be body camera. There's going to be they're going to have this in evidence. They're going to have this in court. So you are alleging you did stab him, but you're not alleging that you murdered him or whatever. But now you want to claim self-defense. So he thought by claiming self-defense to, oh, he got hurt, he's going to be okay, kind of thing. It was just a confrontation and I was defending myself because he put his hands on me. But that's just not the way it works, sweetie pie. It's not the way it works. Anyway, I then identified the suspect. He provided his name and date of birth verbally as Karmelo Anthony. I don't know what this is. With a date of birth of, redacted, which I ran through FPD dispatch. Officer J. Hancock arrived at the scene and remained with me and the suspect at this point. Carmelo was then checked via school database, via eSchool database for FISD students to also confirm his identity. The identifying information he provided matched the individual I had in custody, Carmelo Anthony. Next, I was advised by Sergeant Holland to transport the subject to the Frisco PD jail. Officer Hancock and I transported him to the FPD jail. Again, I did not question Carmelo about the incident. Upon arriving at the Frisco jail, Carmelo was escorted in the intake area. FPD jail staff changed him out into jail attire. So basically, they were booking him, getting him ready. I remained with the jail staff the entire time that he was changed over. The clothes that Carmelo was wearing was placed in the FPD paper evidence bag. The clothes remained in possession from this point on. Upon Carmelo being placed into a jail cell, I continued to keep possession of his articles. I returned to my patrol number 2412 along with Officer Hancock, which was in the FPD Sally port and placed Carmelo's clothing in the back trunk area, placed in the trunk of his car. I drove patrol vehicle 2412 out of the Sally port and parked the squad's car in the FPD patrol parking area. Carmelo's clothes remained in the trunk area of the vehicle 2412. FPD crime scene technician K. Dillard then took possession of Carmelo's clothes. I added my body worn camera to the case. I have no further information to report. Supplemental, this is 504. Okay, this is all. I guess this is okay. So now this is Officer Ritchie's statement on Fort. So they every officer, I guess every officer has their own statement. So supplements on 4/2/25 total 1 hours. Officer Ritchie 3806, I guess that's her badge number, was wearing a full Frisco police uniform, and I was operating at fully marked Frisco police vehicle 241, a fully marked Frisco police vehicle 2412. At about that time, I was dispatched to the report of a stabbing at David Kuykendall Stadium. I'm just going to say it like that. Frisco police dispatched advice an athlete had been stabbed. The suspect was described as a black male wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt and blue sweatpants. I responded code 3 from the area of El Dorado Parkway and Frisco Street. I arrived on scene at approximately 10:05 hours. So like within 4 minutes she was there. Okay, when I arrived on scene, I approached the track fields area and saw Officer Cortez kneeling next to a black male wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt and blue sweatpants. The male, later identified as Carmelo Anthony, was in handcuffs and was seated on the sidewalk by the entrance of the track to the track. As I approached Officer Cortez stated Anthony was the alleged suspect. Anthony then made a spontaneous statement and stated, "I'm not alleged, I did it." Officer Cortez conducted a pat search of Anthony's person to ensure Anthony did not have any weapons and found nothing of evidentiary value. Officer Cortez and I then walked Anthony to my pre-search patrol vehicle, and Anthony was seated in the rear driver side compartment of my patrol vehicle. While walking to my patrol vehicle, Anthony made another spontaneous statement and asked if what happened could be considered self-defense. I replied by telling Anthony I did not know what happened. It should be noted the in-car camera in my patrol vehicle was activated prior to Anthony being placed in my patrol vehicle. While Officer Cortez assisted Anthony into my patrol vehicle, I noticed Anthony had blood on his left middle finger. I grabbed my department issued digital camera and took a photograph of Anthony's hands. I later upload the photograph to the crime scene photo under this case number. Officer Cortez remained assistance with scene security. Nothing further from this officer. Oh, wait. Was that the only one? Let me go back. Whoopsies. So, from that point forward, I worked with coordinating response from CRO, CID, CSI. Oh, wait, what is this? So, this is page 5. Nope. I need number 2. Sorry, I jumped too quick. Page eight. On Wednesday, so okay, that was it of that one. So on Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025, at around 21 hours, Frisco Department. So this is from Otis Will. So this is another officer. Oh, we're going to go through these officers, are we? Let me take this out because I don't need it right now. So on Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025, at around 10:01 hours, Frisco Police Department officers were dispatched to Frisco Independent School District. David Kaikendo Stadium 6. Okay. Um, in reference to a stabbing victim call. Frisco Police Department Emergency Communications was receiving an emergency call regarding an athlete that was stabbed. The originally unknown assailant was a black male wearing a gray hoodie and blue sweatpants and also had a goatee and short hair. Ah, this one's a little bit more detailed. The subject was possibly wearing Centennial High School attire as it was believed he was a student there for the sporting event. This had all taken place on the visitor side of the stadium, north side, and the victim was under the Memorial High School 10 in the bleachers. At around this time, school resource officer SRO Cortez arrived on scene and began assisting the victim, trainers, and the other parties. Officer Cortez also advised on the radio that he also had the suspect, Sergeant Otis, was working the 50s sector as the sergeant. He was in full Frisco Police Department uniform with distinct patches and badge and a police duty belt. Good lord. He was also in a marked it reminds me of the guy from John Q. He was also a marked Frisco Police Department patrol vehicle number 2315. He was relatively close to the call and placed himself on it at around 10:02. Oh, so he was like a minute away and responded to the call with his patrol vehicle overhead emergency lights and sirens activated. He arrived to the call at around 10:06 hours. Sergeant Oates arrived to the stadium and began walking up to the location at around this time. Officer Cortez and Officer Ritchie were walking a black male subject, the suspect, away from the stadium. The suspect was crying hysterically. Please see the other involved officers' narratives for the involvement. Obviously, because you weren't there for the involvement. Sergeant Oates walked up to the visitor bleachers and observed the victim being treated by Frisco Fire Department personnel and also the athletic trainers. The weather began to turn and it began to heavily downpour rain at this time. Some of the FISD staff moved the memorial tent to cover the victim and the FPD personnel. So this is what everybody's been trying to like say. Oh, it's been roaring down raining. That's why he was under the wrong tent. The weather was so bad, he didn't have no choice but to run to the closest tent. Like, no, like all these other people are not underneath the tent and they are actively working on, Austin Metcalf. They're actively working the crime scene. They're actively doing this thing. It wasn't until later on when it actually really started to come down, raining, pouring, at least according to this officer. So, I mean, please, please. There's been rain plenty of times. We have survived rain. Besides the whole flooding thing back during Noah's Ark, or if you want to say it's from the Greek mythology and say it's Zeus and all this other stuff, or I forgot who was it. It was not Zeus. It was one of them. But please, please, it was not raining like that. Okay, now where was I? Uh, Sergeant Sergeant Oates began using his city issued phone to snap crime scene photos to preserve as much of the scene as possible due to the weather and the large gathering of people that were involved in the incident. Other officers began to set up a crime scene with tape moving non-essential personnel out of the immediate area. The officers on the scene were informed that the knife that was used was tossed and was still believed to be somewhere close. Eventually, one of the witnesses said they remember seeing it on the bleachers still. Officer Schultz was able to locate the knife. It was located between rows 9 and 10 near seat 30 closest to the aisle, partially open. The rain began to come down again heavily, and it was determined that instead of moving the knife, the officers would cover it with a large blue lamp. Sergeant Oates assisted in preserving the immediate crime scene as much as possible, while the other personnel tended the victim and eventually transported him at around the time Officer Retzel had the um, had transported him. At the time, Officer Retzel had the crime scene bag and began logging the individual on the call to the best of his ability. Lieutenants Crawford and Pemberton received I used to know Pemberton and received Sergeant Oates of the scene. Sergeant Oates went back to the police department to download his body cam and the photos he took with the city issue phone. Sergeant Oates' city issue phone had a total of 33 photos that were used to document the incident scenes. During the download, the initial photos formatting was incompatible with the crime scene folder. He re downloaded the photos that he took and they were able to be saved properly for preservation of evidence. At this time, there is nothing further to add to this report. Wow, so they almost didn't save those photos. What are they doing outside? Oh, so they're putting rock instead of wood? Yay, it's gonna look nice. Okay. So this is from Officer Wetzel Taylor. On Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025, Officer T. Retzel, badge number 3698, was assigned to work patrol in the city of Frisco. At approximately 10:02 hours, I responded to the report of stabbing at David Kaikendo Stadium located at 7th Street. The original call notes stated an athlete had been stabbed in the chest and that the suspect that stabbed the victim goes to Centennial High School. Athletic trainers were on site and were see they already knew he was from Centennial. So like from the moment that whoever made that 911 call must have told the dispatcher that the student that was that that did the stabbing was from Centennial. Like he was always so like wow. So athletic trainers were on site and were providing care to the victim and advised he was not conscious and not breathing. The notes also indicated that the suspect was a black male with a goatee and short hair wearing Centennial gear. I arrived on scene at approximately 10:06 hours. So within like 4 or 5 minutes, like all these officers were there. When I arrived on the scene, I grabbed a roll crime scene tape from the trunk and proceeded to the visitors' bleachers where dispatch advised victim was. Where I was walking towards the visitors' bleachers, I was approached by a witness who identified himself as redacted, began telling me what happened, and I asked him where the stabbing occurred. Blank advised it happened under the Memorial High School pop-up tent in the visitors' bleachers. I immediately informed Sergeant Oates where the witness stated the stabbing occurred and gave him crime scene tape to start securing the crime scene. I then had Blank um, moved to the walkway under the visitors' bleachers out of the rain to further speak with him. The following is a summary of my contact with Blank advi- and advised um, Blank advised he was sitting under the Memorial High School pop-up tent when the team was near. Come on, work with me. Near the victim, Austin, and the suspect, who was later identified as Carmelo Anthony, black male, date of birth, blank, blank, blank. Anthony was from Centennial High School and was sitting under the Memorial High School tent. Austin had told Anthony that he needed to move out from under their team's tent, and Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, and reached inside and proceeded to tell Austin, "Touch me and see what happens." No one really thought Anthony really had any weapons in his bag, and Austin proceeded to touch Anthony, and then Anthony told Austin to punch him and see what happens. So again, like I stated before, another, especially when we're going over the school district's code of conduct and policies and rules and regulations and things like that. um Basically student athletes hold themselves supposed to hold themselves to a higher standard, correct? So why is this kid taunting poor Austin? Like, you know, you're sitting there, you're taunting him, you're basically almost bullying him, pestering him, you're pushing him. So anyway, no one really thought Anthony really had weapons in Austin's and okay, in his bag, and Austin proceeded to touch Anthony, and Anthony told Austin to punch him and see what happens. A short time later, Austin grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled out what Blank recalled as a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away. Austin began grabbing his chest, telling everyone to get help. Blank advised he did not know Anthony's name, but stated another Memorial Track member, Blank, was friends with Anthony and he could identify Anthony. Blank described Anthony as a black male, skinny, with possibly a goatee, short, puffy hair, and wearing Centennial High School clothing. This concluded my contact with Blank. I then was instructed to start a crime scene log. I retrieved a crime scene log from my patrol vehicle and began starting the crime scene log. I was later relieved by Officer Schultz, who took over the crime scene log, and I cleared the scene. Nothing further attached to this original part. Now we have Officer Jerry Hancock. Today, 4/2/2025, while working was as the CRO at Independence High School, a weapons call was dispatched over the air, detailed a stabbing occurred at Kakendo Stadium in Frisco, Texas. So all these people were at nearby schools. So these were all like ISD police officers, but they're true. They're officers, whether they work for the school or not. They can arrest you. They have every right. They're just part of the school district instead of the city. They work for the school district. I mean, they're all government officials, but geez, don't think. Or even like the transit police, like you go ride a bus, like there's policemen there. There's a difference between policemen and security. Get it together. Um, After hearing more dispatch call information, I drove to the scene. While en route, I heard Officer Cortez say he has the suspect in custody. When I got to on the scene, I looked for Officer Cortez and went straight to him to hold security with the suspect that he had cuffed and secured in the police squad. Multiple witnesses were providing statement to officers when the stabbing occurred at the Memorial High School's track tent. Only a short time later, Officer Cortez and myself escorted the suspect, Carmelo Sincere Anthony, to the Frisco Adult Holding Facility. Anthony was transitioned off to the jail staff without incident. All jail paperwork was completed, and CID took the investigation from there. So now we have Officer Alvin Fisher. On Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025, at about 10:05 hours, I, Officer A. Fisher, number 3695, was dispatched to Frisco, Collin County, Texas, in regards to a stabbing. The note stated an athlete had been stabbed in the chest, was unconscious and not breathing. When I arrived, the crime scene was already marked off and a suspect was in custody. I began asking people if they were witnesses to anything. I made contact with Pauline Hunter McCall. They didn't do a very good job crossing that one out. And then EP. Um, they were both breathing heavily and crying to the nature of events. They were with coaches on the field and it was pouring down rain. We made the decision to relocate to a locker room just to the east to get out of the rain. Once in there, things calmed a little bit. However, they were still hysterical and could not really talk. In there, I learned Hunter was the brother of the victim. I attempted to ask them both what had happened. I could not really get anything out of Hunter, but stated he wanted to speak. I asked him what happened, and he stated they were all sitting on the bleachers under a Memorial High School tent when another male who he did not know walked over and sat under the tent. Blank then said Austin, the victim, told this male that since he did not go to Memorial, he had to leave the tent. Austin and the male went back and forth, and then Austin stood up and pushed the male to get him out of the tent. Blank had said during this time of arguing, the male was reaching around in his bag he had. It was at this time the male took out the knife and stabbed Austin and then left the scene. This was all Blank remembered when he talked to me. After this, I then stood with three athlete witnesses until CID arrived and interviewed them. I was then relieved by the CRO and went back to patrol. Nothing further. So he was there real quick, um, basically to calm things down, and then he went back, I guess, to his normal station in what was it, Independence or something like that. So now we're going to go to Mike Crawford. Officer Mike Crawford on 4225 at approximately 1000 hours. Okay. So now we're off by a minute or two, but that's okay. I, Lieutenant M. Crawford, number 3095, was dispatched to the Kendo Stadium in Frisco, Collin County, Texas, in reference to a stabbing call. I arrived on the scene and observed medical personnel were identified as the victim, Austin blank. Well, it's Austin Metcalf. The medical personnel were actively engaged in life-saving measures with Mr. M. So I'm assuming that's probably the athletic trainer. I observed that a crime scene was created around the area and began collecting the names and contact information of the bystanders within the scene. I then met the officer Retzel and directed him to begin a crime scene log, and as he was getting the needed paperwork, I took over the responsibilities of monitoring a witness blank to the event. Ultimately, the witness was taken to another area out of the rain, and Officer Schultz took over the crime scene log, and I forwarded information about the bystanders to him. From that point forward, I worked with coordinating response from CRO, CID, CSI, and PIO. I took no other action to the scene. My body worn camera did not activate when I initially arrived on scene, but I did activate it when I discovered it wasn't recording while waiting with the witness. Nothing further. So this fool didn't even have his stupid recording on. Way to go, Lieutenant. On Wednesday 4/2, I Officer Shaw, also okay, Jacob Schatz, was working as the CRO at the Student Opportunity Center at approximately 10:01 hours. I was dispatched to a stabbing that occurred in Texas. It should be noted that my location is approximately 200 yards from the stadium, so he wasn't far either. Upon my arrival, I had to get an updated location of the suspect. I could not see Officer Cortez when I arrived. Officer Cortez informed over the radio that he had the suspect in custody. This time at this time I turned my attention to the victim. Multiple FISD trainers were already performing CPR. I could see blood on and around the victim. I was gonna get yeah. At this time, medics arrived and began life saving measures. I coordinated with other officers on scene to secure the location. By this time, the students and FISD staff had cleared the area. I used crime scene tape and began to tape off the area. It began to rain harder as this time Sergeant Otis and myself moved a Memorial High School tent over the medics and the victim to attempt to preserve any evidence that we could. A memorial coach approached me and informed me that he was with a student who claimed to see the entire altercation. I told coach to stick with the student and that we would need to get him to the police station to give a statement. The student quickly informed me that he knew where the suspect threw the knife and pointed me to his location. I located the knife with Sergeant Otis could use and could see blood on the knife. I quickly used my city issued phone to take pictures before the rain could wash away the blood. Sergeant Otis located a blue tarp, and we decided that we should cover the knife without touching it in attempt to preserve any evidence. It was windy and raining hard. Once we positioned the tarp over the knife, I reached down and grabbed a backpack left in the stands to weigh the tarp down and threw it up by where Sergeant Otis was positioning the tarp. It was later discovered the backpack I threw up onto the tarp was the suspect backpack. It was the only Centennial High School backpack located with all of the Memorial High School backpacks in the area of the stands. Go figure. After securing the scene with crime scene tape and attempting to preserve as much evidence as possible, witnesses, Officer Wetzel, I was maintaining scene security. Officer Wetzel was maintaining scene security while I was assisting the other officers. After the medics transported the victim, I relieved him off that post so he could go back to patrol. I maintained scene security until the call was cleared. Photos will be uploaded to the crime scene photo, and any body cam will be downloaded at the end of the shift. No further information at this time. So then we have Kyle Pemberton, Justin Newen. Good Lord. So on 4/2, at approximately 10:04 hours, I, Lieutenant K. Pemberton, number 3411, responded to Stadium in Texas a, in response to a reported stabbing. This location is a school stadium. Call notes advised a male had been stabbed and was unconscious. Upon arrival, several officers and medical personnel were attending to the victim who was laying on the ground of the stadium bleachers. I coordinated the Frisco PD response to and trying to establish a crime scene. The knife reported had to have been used in the assault was located by another officer in the bleachers. Shortly after my arrival, a large downpour of rain began. I directed several officers to use a tarp found at the scene to cover the location of the knife. I remained on scene until the victim was transported and the crime scene was established. Nothing, no further information. FNI. God, it's so lazy you can't even write no further information on it. Okay, on 4/2/25, this is Justin Newton. So this one looks, I think, probably after the fact. I responded um, to Texas Health Plane assistance, Plano to assist with his case. I was asked I was tasked with meeting the ambulance at the hospital. I arrived prior to the ambulance and waited for them to arrive. They arrived at 10:46 hours with the victim Austin Metcalf, who was brought into the trauma by wasn't brought into the trauma bay for treatment. At 10:53 hours, Dr. Ko, or I want to say chaos, but it's KO, pronounced Austin deceased. Once he was pronounced, staff stopped treatment and disconnected cords and tubes from the machines without removing anything from the body itself. While on scene, I took possession of clothing worn by Austin and maintained possession of the items until CSI Dillard took them from me. When on scene, Officer Landon requested assistance in lifting the sheets off the body to take photos. I then placed the sheets back when complete. I then stood by in the room for security while Officer Landon, Officer Hernandez, and CSI Dillard took additional photos. At one point, they rode the body and removed shorts from Austin, which were bagged and stayed in my custody until CSI took them. At 13:24 hours, family was allowed into the scene to view the body. I was informed by staff and officers that they would be allowed to touch the head and feet of Austin, which they did. At 13:37 hours, nurses from the hospital bagged Austin in a body bag. At 15:15 hours, the transport service for medical examiner arrived and took possession of the body bag. So this is 5, so I need 6 and 7. So tag number 1016978 was placed on the bag and secured. I took notes during this time, which were scanned to the report and booked as evidence. I turned in the crime scene log to be scanned to the report. All the conclusion of the call, I took my camera off of cover mode and went to turn it off. At that point, I learned the camera had failed to activate. Due to it being on covert mode, I did not see the indicator lights on the top of the camera. Genius. What is it with these people not knowing how to work these stupid cameras? Like, it's not that difficult. On 4/2/25, I, Officer Higgins, was working as the desk officer at 7200, okay, Frisco, Collin County, Texas, at approximately 2 hours. Um, I don't know who that is. White male. Oh, I guess Austin. No, I don't know. It's 10:42 hours. Blank, blank, white male, blank. Walked detectives and I returned to my normal duties. Nothing further at this time. Good Lord. On Tuesday, 4/2, I approximately 10:01 hours, I report Officer 10 Craig's number 357, School Resource Officer, Liberty High School, was at Heritage High School and heard via radio that FISD student had been stabbed at the address of Kaikendo Stadium. I immediately responded to the scene. Upon arrival, I first made contact with Officer Cortez. I then responded to the victim's scene that was in the north bleachers. As I walked up, I noticed Frisco Fire Department personnel was attempting to provide life-saving measures to a subject later identified 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 individuals from Liberty High School's boys track meet. So that's already 11. We have bus number blank, Texas license plate blank. Liberty High School's girls track team, that's one. So that's already 12 people. So we have, and that's from Liberty High. So basically 10 people from Liberty High School and 2 people from Lebanon. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people from Memorial High School's track team. And then we have 3 more people from Frisco High School's boys track team. So there's 21, and that's not including, the others that were there. The ones that were saving, the trainers, the coaches, and things like that. These are just the students on the bus that were there. So, oh, and there's more. I forgot. Independence High School. Let's go finish the page. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more from Emerson. So 26, roughly 20. There's a lot. There's a lot of witnesses. I was also met by the following coaches who advised they were witness to the things. Okay, so then here are 1, 2, 3, 4 coaches. So you have Gonz- Gonzalez from Centennial. He's the suspect confessed to the stabbing victim. Vincent Huber from the Heritage High School coach. Her suspect confessed to stabbing victim. Lakeisha Collin, Independence High School coach, witnessed the incidents. And Mindy Yeatman, Independence High School, witnessed the incident. After completing this task, I cleared the scene. No further information. And then we have it says on for our Sergeant of Aviles responded to a stabbing call. Upon arrival, I provided scene security and assisted. Okay. So I arrived on the location. I declared it. Okay. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go check to see if they turned the water right back on. Mike was on mute again. So again, sorry again, my bad. They were trying. Our water is still not on. It's going crazy. And they're, I don't know. It's crazy. But again, there are so many witnesses. Like, where were these teachers at when they were going to allow Karmelo to graduate? When they were going to allow him to graduate? Why didn't these teachers right here, these four teachers, I don't care if you go to the school or not, but the fact is that why are we going to let this be what why are we going to let young children believe that it's okay to go and taunt somebody and taunt them and taunt them and taunt them, and then when something happens you go in and kill them? No, like this, you should have just moved, buddy. There was you know. And to say that it was coming down rain pouring, it wasn't coming down rain pouring until the officers got there. um it was light rain. It was light to moderate rain. And come on, like, I don't get why people, and I've seen it before. Yes, I get it. Sometimes it's drizzles and you start seeing people scatter like there are roaches when the light turns on for roaches and stuff like that. Like, no, like, it's just water, guys. It's water that comes from the sky. You'll be okay. You're not gonna melt. You're not gonna turn into this goo or anything. You're not gonna turn into an alien. You're not gonna do anything. But it's just water. So that, I mean, for them to have close to 30 witnesses, and I'm surprised head coach, uh, not head coach, but high school coach, Gonzalez, Hooper, Collin, and Neatman, all from one from Centennial Heritage and two from Independence. Y'all should have stood up to fight for the fact that Karmelo Anthony should not have gotten his diploma. I mean, you were witness to the incident. You heard the suspect confess. There should have been no in between. You should have been at the forefront of this. Um, and fight for what's right. I don't know what to say about that. I don't know what you're thinking at the time. I get it. Y'all are probably going through this whole process, but still, I mean, I still try to do something that's right. What are you really trying to say here? So, anyway, let us be clear. These attacks are not just about NGAN. They are about trying to silence a movement. They're okay. They have targeted our staff. They have weaponized misinformation. They have fabricated claims with no basis in fact. But we are not new to this. We are trained for this moment. We are built for this battle and we will not waver. For over a decade, the Next Generation Action Network has stood on the front lines fighting for the voiceless, standing in the gap for families in crisis, and challenging systems that were never designed to protect us. But if they're standing in the gap for families in crisis, isn't that what Austin isn't Austin's Metcalf family the ones supposed to be in crisis because they're the ones that lost a child? They actually lost a physical human being by the hands of this man that you're trying to claim that is so injustice. Okay, and challenging systems that were never designed to protect us. Our track record speaks louder than any lie ever could. From legislative victories to direct advocacy, our impact is undeniable. This is exactly why we are being targeted because we are effective, because we represent power, progress, and people. To our supporters, we want you to know that NGAN operates with transparency and integrity. If you have a question, ask. If you have a concern, bring it forward. But what we won't do is be bullied, intimidated, or silenced by those trying to protect the status quo. We don't just fight injustice, we confront it head on. We don't just talk about the change, we live it, and we never stop. And we will never stop until justice belongs to all of us. And then, so as you know, so we already pulled up their website. We already know Dominic Alexander is the head of this organization. I'm assuming that Wood is no longer part of it. I wouldn't be surprised if he started his own organization. But again, how you gonna like organize something and say you're against something and then turn around. I mean, like, that's the hypocrisy in this whole situation. And then you're claiming that you're doing everything legit, but you don't have no proof that you're providing security legally, or you're doing the things that you're saying you're doing under legal. Like, did you have that protest legally? Did you file all the right licenses and requests and things like that you needed to do, things like that. Like, everybody expects you to be, when you're doing these types of things, you need to be up and up on everything. um Ignorance is not an excuse of the law. You can't go to court and say, oh, judge, I didn't know that. That's not going to happen. The fact is that you broke the law. You broke the law. See, I like staying by the window because I could see every kind of hear and see everything that's. Huh? Um, I don't know what he's talking about. Stop, Chanel. No need to growl. I have no clue what is really going on. So, huh? Did they just move all that mess over there? Oh, I hate stupid people. Okay. Um. So let's continue. I'm wondering, how back in all my other ones, I was saying there has to be something connected with ISD, the dad, NGAN, something's got to be connected somewhere. Why are you fighting? Why are you advocating so hard for the student, when we all know, according to the police report, other police reports, several police reports that said that they heard him confess to doing this. Now, whether he meant to take his life, because remember, he thought he was okay. He's confessing up until the point to where he thought he wasn't okay, and then all of a sudden it's going to turn into um self-defense, because remember, he didn't initially claim self-defense. He said he touched me first. That's not saying, oh, I'm defending myself. That just means, oh, you thought he touched you first, so you have the right to react to the situation, which that doesn't, no, that's not what it means. So no, he's never, he didn't claim self-defense until after the fact that he knew that Austin Metcalf was no longer alive and with us. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it was self-defense. Like, I don't know if he was ever raised like never, like, when somebody touches you then it's okay or whatever, but it's not okay. It's not okay. Um yeah, so again, like I was saying, we need a something was going on with this like, why were you advocating for somebody that you knew did something wrong, broke the law, and then try to turn it into a racial thing when clearly it wasn't. It was a right or wrong thing. And so let's get into it, because Sarah Fields is unraveling this. Good job, Sarah Fields. If you haven't, get on X and please follow Sarah Fields. Sarah Fields has been active in a lot of things. She posts a lot of informations about different things, and yeah, it she's really hitting them in the government and section. Like, she's really trying to stay on top of, like, a lot of the changes of the legal of the law and stuff like that. So, or a lot of the bills that are coming through, she's been keeping up with them as well. But this matter, she's really been going to in depth. She's been requesting paperwork documents. Good morning. Well, it's not more. Well, yeah, I guess it's technically is still morning. I kind of figured you weren't gonna wake up to about noon. Yeah. Oh, baby, and don't the toilet doesn't flush, my love. There's no water. Sorry, didn't mean to eat the young. So anyway, so yeah, so let's share this tab. Um, there's a lot of things. Okay, right here. So let's share this one. Where did it go? Oh, I closed it out. Whoopsies. No, I don't want to add a cat. Yes, baby, you can. If it's charged, you can. Okay. So this right here again from Sarah Fields, it says NGAN also checked yes for all 9 of these requirements to hold a contract with DISD. So let's show this on the stream. This includes background checks and badges. If you're not familiar with my past reporting on the criminal backgrounds of every member of NGAN, I suggest researching. They're also running an illegal security operation with fake security and bodyguards. When this was sent to the school and documents were requested to show that NGAN did indeed fulfill these requirements, the school responded by saying that we're appealing to the AG for an opinion. This obviously means they do have contracts and refusing to send. And Dallas ISD is protecting documents that would prove whether NGAN is or is not qualified for contract. So technically what she's saying, if they're qualified, they'll, when you request the information, they should oh, this dude. Oh, well, you wanted to go to work and I'll fix it. So that's what she's saying, that if they were all legit when she requests for these kind of documents and stuff like that, normally they'll just get the documents ready for them and send them off and redact whatever information they got to redact or whatever. Um but this stuff should be able, I mean, if you request it, you should be able to review it. I mean, this should be public record actually. But again, they're putting a stall to it, and they initially were trying to appeal it to the AG. So, and there's another, where's the, I think this has them. Is this the one with all of them? No. So this is where she requested the Dallas Independent School District received a public information request of all the forms that Next Generation Action Network filled out for procurement services from 1295 representation and certification, notification of criminal history, criminal background check and badges, conflict of interest certifications with an abortion provider, Edgar forms. The public information form on 525 you requested any record, okay, indicating a contract with Next Generation Action Network or NGAN, Excel, and Dominic Alexander. The district has reviewed its files and has determined there are no responsive documents related to your request. A good faith search has been conducted and the district does not have an existing document. Please see the attached withdrawal letter sent to the Attorney General's office. Please note that the Texas Public Information Act does not obligate a governmental entity to keep a request upon open until information is available in the future. Thus, it will be necessary to make a new request at a future date. Providing you with this information, we consider your request complete and will close this file. If you have any questions or, yeah, that's all they did. So this is the requirements that, okay. This is what I want to see. So this was back on May 30th. And then I guess she did a little more digging and found that Dallas ISD procurement services request for proposals, um it says contract for 20,000. So apparently, and then receipts of board meetings and list of contracts. So she's doing her research, guys. She went back all the way to 2018, meeting date May 25th, 2023. Well, she went back all the way to May 2023, but this historical spend information on June 21st, 2022, the board approved not to exceed amount 5,000. Okay. Consider and take possible action to authorize, negotiate, and enter into agreements with recommended pool of vendors for the development services for district-wide use, not to exceed 5 million over the 5 years, including renewal options, general operating special revenue bond funds. Detailed information sheets attached? Yes. So again, it looks like the recommended vendors will provide research-based programming to support schools in the educational academic space to promote student efficiency, oh, efficacy and agency. Student outcomes will improve self-awareness and self-value, resulting in positive sense of well-being, safety, support, engagement, and self-advocacy. So it looks like they do have a contract with NGAN. As you can see there, they entered into a contract, it looks like a while ago. But then when she requested the information on like certifications and notifications and things like that, they simply could not find them. Um, Student of Texas, the district submitted an open request to the district attorney general's, okay, per section 55306 of the government code, the attorney general shall render a decision not later than the 45th business day of the day of the attorney general received the request for decision. The attorney general may extend the deadline by 10 business days by informing the parties of the reason for the delay, as such decision may be provided between 45 to 60 days. If you cannot log into the portal, so yeah, they are just giving her the runaround. Doesn't look like they really want to give her the information, or they just probably don't have the information to give to her. They're just gonna try to buy themselves some time until hoping she'll go away. Shh. So yes, come here, babies. What's going on? Who? Skylar? The door? He closed the door. Oh man. So anyway, so yeah, so there is again, um so according, I guess, they have Dominique Alexander representing themselves because it's representing them because he knows exactly what it's like to get into people's faces and taunt them and to murder like this kid did. So again, this is really a tragic story. It should have never happened. There are so many things that went wrong. We're gonna go over to, let me go back to this. I want to end up on a good note, or somewhat of a good note. And this is Jeff Metcalf. This is going to be Austin Metcalf's dad's Facebook page. Um, there was something here I did want to read. It says right here. So one of the few things that he has on his wall, it's actually really good. I kind of like it. It says, actually, let's look at the video first. I do want to end off with that message that he has, but this is something that he posts shared on
I cannot believe that we live in a country where people are defending and celebrating, giving someone a pat on the back for stabbing a white teenager in the heart. Y'all are literally defending. I want everybody to see this right here. I cannot believe that we live in a country where people are defending and celebrating, giving someone a pat on the back for stabbing a white teenager in the heart. Y'all are literally defending this boy because he's black. Because of the color of his skin, you think it was okay for him. And y'all are starting to do rallies for Karmelo? Are you freaking kidding me? Rallies to defend young black children. What? To defend this young black child? This young black child stabbed somebody. He didn't even he had no reason to bring a knife to school. And miss me with the whole, oh, Austin was a bully. Who said he was a bully? Who said he was a bully? And if he was a bully, that still did not give Karmelo Anthony the right to bring a knife to school. From what I've heard, they didn't even know each other. So it's not like he brought the knife to protect himself against Austin. Why did he bring a knife to school? Because he was probably up to no good in the first place. So miss me with that crap. And then people are now selling t-shirts, free Melo, free Karmelo Anthony. Y'all are literally, people are also calling him a hero for standing up for himself. What? A hero? Y'all are out here selling t-shirts with his face on it? Making money off of a teenager that was stabbed in the heart? Do you not know how demonic and satanic you have to be? How evil and heartless, how cold you have to be to try to be selling t-shirts after somebody was stabbed in the heart. Selling a t-shirt with the person who stabbed, selling the Y'all have put this boy's face on a t-shirt. The boy, this dude who stabbed another person, is being celebrated. While Austin's family, while the victim's family is at home crying, probably can't sleep at night. Probably don't even have an appetite to eat. But y'all celebrating the person who did the killing. Y'all wearing t-shirts with the killer's face on it. Do you not know how? Just imagine, people, if a white teenager stabbed another black kid in the heart at school, and then white people had a rally for the white kid who committed the crime, who did the killing, or who's claiming self-defense. I don't believe it was self-defense. But just imagine if Austin stabbed Karmelo and white people were doing a rally for a person who stabbed somebody in the heart at school, a white kid. Yeah. That would not go over so well. Kids fight every day. If it's true that Austin put his hands on Karmelo at school, if it's true that Austin grabbed his backpack, kids fight at school every day. That does not give kids the right to bring a knife to school and stab somebody in the heart. Austin was unarmed. And they were at school. Weapons are not allowed. So let's start there. But they don't want to. Sick. This stuff like this is dividing the country. Sick. And all the black people that are celebrating him because he murdered a white kid, you're racist and hateful.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, first let's start. You don't bring knives to school. Like, he did not get punished for bringing a knife onto school property. Not one. He still graduated. I think we seen people later, like like Pauline's future were probably ruined because they decided to take a wrestling belt to their graduation, or they took or they decided to wave hi to their mom and dad while they were accepting their diploma on stage, or they wanted to pose for a picture and it was against the school rules and they did it anyway. They lost their privilege, they lost their diploma. You know how many lives for something so tiny were ruined because these schools have the ability to say, "Oh, let me just take away your diploma. Let me just take away your diploma. Let me just take away your diploma. I don't like that you said you were number 1 on stage, or I didn't like the fact that you waved, or no, we're not going to do that." Like, yes. Yes, definitely. And uh, from what some people have said, whether it's true or not, he did have a history of fighting and doing all this. So there should have been multiple interventions that could have been done to save this kid. Um, like we heard from one of the news, from one of the Carmelo Anthony's classmates, whether they were close or not. They knew him as a fighter. They knew him as, I guess, a rebel. I guess that's the way to put it, a little rebel. So yeah, I believe that the school district had some kind of part to do with it. And like I said, they Dallas has NGAN as under contract under contract with the school district. So that they're all in cahoots. So it's like the ISD is trying to save their butts for having NGAN as a contract. NGAN is trying to advocate to save them. Like, if you advocate for this child, I don't know what's going. I don't know if they're trying to save the school, and it's not. It's they're not trying to advocate for a Carmelo. It's mainly trying to advocate and cover up what the school is doing. I I have no clue. All I know is that this child lost his life, and whatever happened, over over nothing, over a seat under a tent. And that is far that is so sad. And he did say, he was right where he's saying it's y'all are celebrating a murderer. Y'all really are. Y'all are celebrating it for all those people who are defending Carmelo Anthony in his actions. There's nothing to defend. He wasn't, his life was not at risk. We went over the police report. He completely admitted it. He didn't even think he did harm. He just asked if he was going to be okay, which means he completely was telling the truth at that point, because he thought there was going to be no repercussion. He thought it was not a serious matter. So yeah, I did it. Yeah, I'm not alleged. I mean, I did it. I'm telling you, I'm not alleged. I'm not the alleged, you know, I did it. Like, several officers heard it, several witnesses heard it. Like, now that he's no longer alive, now all of a sudden it's like, oh no, it was self defense. Yeah, he did say he put his hands on me first, but he wasn't claiming self defense at the time. He just was telling the facts that yes, he put his hands on me first. Is he gonna be okay? Like, no, you homie, you killed him. You pulled out, like, what did you expect was gonna happen if you pull out a knife and you stab somebody in the chest? Just saying. Like, what would you think would happen? Yes. I seriously think, I mean, with the dad, I mean, Frisco is a very it's outside of Dallas. So it's not part of the huge Dallas network. It's a small, you know, I should say small. It's a quiet little suburb outside of Dallas. So, yes, um, Dap had a good job. I'm pretty sure he used it to his benefits, used it to his son's benefits, to overlook certain things. Like, you know, I'll knock off another 10% off your car. You just, you know, look the other way. You know, my son didn't, you know, he brings you trophies for school. He's a captain. And honestly, some of the videos that I've seen, I haven't really seen much of a star player. I've seen it, you know, an athlete, but not, no, he's not no, you know, what are, I'm not big on him either, but he's no Patrick Mahomes. He's no, who is it from the Eagles? That dude. My husband's gonna be mad because he's an Eagle fan. I think I purposely do it on purpose, but I forgot the name. Jalen Hurts. I'm just playing Jalen Hurts, but yes. But then again, I mean, but what are we teaching them when people like Stephon Diggs gets caught on a boat with some pink-like substance and he still gets to have a career? Well, because they haven't really made public a decision on what they're going to do, or what's going on with it. But all I know is if they consider him paying. See, and that's also a little iffy too, because that's a contract based thing, and he's guaranteed 16 million. I'm like, just pay him the 16 million, cut his contract, and let him go before his ACL gets better. And you don't need Patriots. Y'all don't need that on y'all's team. Nobody, no football team needs somebody like that on their team, no matter how fast they are or whatever. And I don't think he did anything special this past season anyway. I don't think he's worth $60 million that y'all are paying him. But anyway, just saying. Um, but on top of all that, people like Stephon Diggs is not the best role model. They're the ones that are initially. So he's not. I mean, I wouldn't say everybody thinks he's the star athlete. I don't. From videos and things that I've seen, I don't think so. I mean, but it's all about perseverance. It's all about who you know and what and stuff like that. I really think it's his dad that has more of the connections and more. I haven't seen his dad play. I know his dad used to play, um, but I don't know if he was a better athlete than what Carmelo is. I can't say if as far as that, but I really think with Daddy having the job he does, and yes, he making 150,000 a year is above the poverty line, definitely above the poverty line. So he's not, you know, I'm sure money played a role in it, and I'm sure it's not Carmelo's ability to play sports. I think it's daddy's money and mommy's money, and you know, and they're trying to save their butts. And I think with Carmelo doing what they're doing, I think it really did kind of hurt the family's pocket. I don't think he wasn't not able to work. I just think it made sales a lot harder to come by, which means required a little bit more harder work from him. I guess he's not used to doing, you know, hard work anymore when you're making commissions off of everybody else doing the work. You know what I mean? But I really think Daddy's money paid for a lot of the overlook and oversight. I don't think he's much of a. I don't think he was gonna go on and play professional. I don't think he was that good. Sorry, but that's my opinion. I mean, obviously everybody else thinks he's this great star player and star student, or at least the school does, and some of the people that are advocating for him. But I don't. I literally see another normal kid that you know was brought up. You know, was brought up with that mindset so that he could get away with anything, and he basically is trying to get away with murder. So I don't. Yeah. So let's again. We're on Jeff Metcalf's Facebook page, and let me put it back on the stream. So again, I want to read these words that he left, and then we'll kind of close out there. I do because again, he is going to be charged as an adult. He's looking at a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 40 years if he is found guilty. Um, so he's definitely, if he's found guilty, he won't see freedom for until he's about 60 years old. But 3 days ago, Jeff Metcalf posts this on his Facebook. No need for revenge because the person they are is already enough punishment. Ouch. That was good. Mm-mm-mm. Get it. Again, no need for revenge because the person they are is already enough punishment. You don't need to lift a finger or wish them harm. The weight of who they are, the choices they made, and the truth they carry within is more than enough. People who act out of cruelty, manipulation, or selfishness often live in quiet turmoil, even if they were even if they wear a mask of confidence. Their inner battles, their inability to love fully or be loved truly, is a consequence far greater than anything you could impose. Let them have their empty victories and fleeting moments of control, because that's all that was, is something that the dad and the family can control. In time, life has a way of showing everyone who they truly are. Karma doesn't always make noise, it works in silence through missed opportunities, lost trust, and restless nights. You, on the other hand, rise. You grow, heal, and build a life of meaning surrounded by peace and people who see your worth. So choose freedom over bitterness. Choose growth over revenge. Choose to let go, not because they deserve peace, but because you do. The best response is a life well lived, full of love, purpose, and joy they will never understand. So those are the I'm assuming those are the words of Jeff Metcalf. I'm not sure if it's a quote he got from somebody else, but um yeah, those are very powerful words. Jeff Metcalf is very intelligent man, very faith-based, so he is working through it in his own way, and all I can say is kudos to him. Kudos to his family for staying strong. Hopefully they get the all the answers that they get. Hopefully they get the justice, because now, like he's saying, now that he's going to be able to be tried as an adult, this may be the beginning of justice. Everything that has been going on, it felt like it was, I mean, even Jeff Metcalf was house was swatted 3 times. They called SWAT, literally, like P Diddy style SWAT. Like, they went into his house 3 times, swatted his house 3 times. Like, he's been through more, and then for Carmelo Anthony to rub in his face saying, "Oh, we have safety issues." Like, this dude was swatted 3 times. Like, you don't see him moving out of his neighborhood. But again, Jeff Metcalf, your words said it beautiful, and we're gonna end there. No need for revenge because the person they are is already enough punishment. Again, prayers out to your family, Jeff Metcalf, and thank you everybody for being here. At the end of the day, D, this is a shameful cover up. Justice must be served. Yes, I really think this is a cover up. I think everybody from the district to the advocacy, the NGAN advocacy, I, yes, this everybody's just trying to get a payoff here, and they're really and ultimately at the end of the day, so I feel somewhat bad for Carmelo because they are using him to get the money, knowing that he is not going to be able to enjoy it himself. Like, please no, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Please do not do that. We're not going to scrape the floor. Thank you. Um, ow, I hit my knee. Come here. Come here. Come here. No, you stay right here. Stay right here. Because mommy's almost done. So, but yes, definitely a cover up. there's so many witnesses. It would definitely come out in court. There is no way he's gonna not. The only way that something could go wrong is if the prosecution team messes up somehow. If there's some type of I don't know, somebody lies, somebody, gets on the stand and, you know, lies or whatever, and it ends up in a mistrial somehow. That is the only way I think Carmelo will get off of this. But other than that, I really think he is guilty for what he's did, and he will receive the full punishment of the law. And for them to continue to ask for money and to continue to live off of his actions, well then, go to live off of his actions, and somebody else's loss, it's just disgusting. It really is. And then this poor kid's going to be in jail while him and his family is living off of hundreds of thousands of dollars that, they raised for what? To live off of, you know? Because you're not going to enjoy it. What they're going to say, they're going to hold it for you for your commissary. They're not going to hold no 400, 500,000 for a commissary for you. I'm sorry. Like, after legal team and everything else, and that who knows how much legal team is going to pay, who knows how much they're giving over to the NGAN for your security detail. um Please go to the link down at the bottom. Let me put myself back on. So my baby was walking back and forth earlier. So please go down to the link at the bottom, to that link space / addition T with D. You can go ahead and donate to Vivid Lifestyles, VVLS, which is my organization. We do help the abused, whether it's the elderly, men, women, and children. Um, Abuse comes in all ages and comes in all sizes and comes in all types. So we just don't stop at just children. We do help out all abuse, all the abuse. Again, please go down to the link if you want to provide financially. Just go there, click the button to support VVLS. Also, I haven't secured a date yet, but with elderly abuse awareness, I do want to do it on that day. I just have to confirm it with um, the manager there. But I did secure a location to have events to spread the awareness. So we are really looking for donations to help provide the pamphlets and provide the information, the handouts, the pamphlets, everything that we need to hand out to spread this awareness. Um, but other than that, everything else is pretty much taken care of as far as like tents and tables and chairs and trucks and things like that to to travel um, to carry to transport the equipment back and forth. So it's just really the documents and the supplies. We're really working on trying to get our merchandise in as well. So that's also what we're donating for as well. So anything, merchandise, pamphlets, resources, all that information, um, all that stuff we are trying to raise. So please go down to the link and donate if you can. If you can, please like, share, subscribe to this video. Share it. It's the free way. Please comment if you have any comments below. Um, Sorry, he keeps looking at he's making me distracted with my lobster. So again, thank you for being here. If you have and it's a crazy time at the house. So again, I've been on. I think my kids are ready for me to start making lunch and probably go to the park or something. So, but I probably will be back later on because there is some more information I do want to catch up on. There are some other stories that have been progressing over time that I haven't been able to touch on. So I'm glad I was able to get this one out of the way. I think the next story we'll probably do on Karmelo Anthony is when we actually hear from to see if he's going to be indicted or not. So we'll see on that. But until then, y'all stay safe. Have a good Sunday. Enjoy the day until I am back. And until then, don't forget. Thank you. Pinkies up.